Yeah.
Well, hello there. Welcome to the live stream. We have a lot to talk about, and we are going to start off with what we have been watching. Do you want to let us know how your movie count is going, Luke?
Okay, I'm at 99 movies now, so
Wow.
I'm one away.
Wow.
I'm one away from my goal, and we're just started the 9th month of the year, so I've still got 3 months to go, and there's still a lot of good movies to come out the cinemas. So I would think I would hit 115 pretty easily just through the movies I want to see. And if I really wanted to push it, maybe 120, 130. So we'll go all out, see how many I can see. And next year I'll be a bit more selective with my film choices than this month.
Yeah.
And what about yourself? Where are you at with shows and limited series this year?
I got to write a couple down, but going decently.
Yeah, I think you were at 30 odd last time for shows.
Yeah, I'm in the 40s now.
40s now. Okay, nice. So, been a while since our last live stream. Is there anything you've seen that you really enjoyed, movie or TV wise?
Really enjoyed The Tracker. What kind of has the same concept as Reacher. These two characters are kind of drifters on the run, but the difference is with Tracker, people hire him to obviously track people, and he has his camper van and he kind of travels around America. So it's a pretty cool show. It has 13 episodes and it has been renewed for a season 2. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And where can you find this?
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus. Any actors or actresses I would know?
There is there is an actor in one episode that does play his brother, who is in Supernatural and plays Soldier Boy in season 3 of The Boys.
Oh, okay. I know who you're talking about. What about the main characters? They new or no one notable?
No one notable.
Okay, interesting. Anything else you've seen? You've seen a few movies?
Just watched Alien Romulus. Really enjoyed that, and that was the latest thing I watched at the cinemas. And also watched Jackpot from streaming, and have started watching a show called Bad Monkeys.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What do you think about that show so far? I haven't started it.
Watched 2 episodes, and it was pretty good.
Okay, I think I might get into that soon. I've obviously seen lots of movies, also seen Alien Romulus like yourself, which we will do a review of, checking in on my letterbox where I'm at. So recently I saw Harold and the Purple Crayon, which I actually surprisingly quite liked. Incoming, a movie that just came to Netflix a few days ago, which doesn't have great reviews, but I thought it was quite good for like a teen party comedy movie. It had something about it I thought was quite good. 200% Wolf, for an animated movie that's Australian, it was actually really bad. I know I didn't realize it was a sequel to a movie called 100% Wolf, but it in itself was, I think, a bit complex for children. I took my son there and he kind of lost focus and wandered off because it wasn't too engaging. I watched The Present, which is another streaming movie that has a Australian in it. We've got Isla Fisher. She's in it.
Oh, yes.
It was one of those like Groundhog Day style movies. Not in the sense of like if you don't complete something, you restart the day. It was more the kids had a clock that could let them turn back time, and they kept restarting the day because they were trying to stop their parents from splitting up. So kind of cool premise, but I must say I lost focus at watching it. I was kind of just going through the motions. The Union with Mark Wahlberg in it, it's a pretty standard formula of a spy thriller movie. I've seen that kind of before. Jackpot, like yourself, was somewhat interesting, cool premise. Aliens, Loves, Lies, and Bleeding, which I got recommended to watch by Movie Mike's podcast, and it was absolute garbage. He has it in his top 5 movies for the year. It was so bad, so I will not be watching that. I did watch it. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. That was horrible. Borderlands, the Instigators, which was another streaming movie on Apple TV. It's got Matt Damon in it, which was so-so. Trapped, which I thought was going to be amazing, and the premise was really good, but they kind of missed the mark with a few things. I think if I could have rejigged a few bits of the movies or even reordered or structured, I think it would have been a better movie. So I've seen a few others, but that's probably the most notable one since we last did this. And then in terms of TV shows, I've started watching Boy Swallows Universe, and
Oh yes.
I don't know. I don't really see the hype yet. So
how many episodes are you up
I've
to?
seen 3.
How many are there?
I think there's 10.
Okay.
There's either 8, 9, or 10. I can't remember, but I don't know. I'm not seeing the hype yet, but it won a lot of awards and it's got a lot of international fame. So I will continue to watch it, but I must say I'm not overly impressed with it. So that's what I've been watching. So what's coming up soon that we're looking forward to? So we've got Joker 2 coming out.
Yes, indeed.
That's hopefully going to be the best movie of the year. It's the one I'm most looking forward to. Beetlejuice, or the second Beetlejuice movie.
I haven't seen the first one.
I saw the first one a long time ago, so I'm going to have to watch a recap video. Kraven the Hunter. I reckon it's going to be garbage because it's pretty standard for Sony or any of these like Marvel properties that get taken over by Sony. But I've kind of hyped about it because Kraven the Hunter is the villain in the Spider-Man 2 game.
Okay.
So I'd like to see that in a movie. So hopefully they do it justice. Transformers 1.
Yeah, it looks good.
I've earmarked that on the calendar to take my son. He's really looking forward to seeing that.
Does he know anything about Transformers?
He's seen bits and pieces of the cartoon, but he doesn't understand the premise of Transformers. He just thinks it's cool. They're like
driving cars.
Yeah, robots that turn into cars. It sounds pretty cool. You mentioned Speak No Evil, which is something I definitely want to go see. So that's so the main actor from the Split movie. It's like, have you seen the trailer for it?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so I've seen the trailer. It's like he invites these friends and their kids, or maybe it's not their kids, maybe just their friends over to their holiday home that's in like the hills of somewhere. And then they notice things are a bit strange and a bit weird. And then I think the son is missing his tongue, or he doesn't talk. And then they're kind of like, what's going on here? And then it's like, you're trapped and you can't leave. So they don't give away too much in the trailer, but it's kind of this psychological thriller. But it looks interesting. Venom and Gladiator 2, which are probably going to be the 2 of the bigger movies to finish off the year. So lots of exciting stuff coming out.
Yes.
You want to talk about what's going on in the world of Marvel news. So explain to me what's going on.
So with the news that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back, but everyone thought that he was going to be reprising his role as a different variant of Iron Man, but he's not. He's actually coming back as Doctor Doom, and we just wanted to talk about, is that a good thing, or should they have stuck with Kane the Conqueror and recasting the character? So what do you think?
I would have liked to have seen them continue with the Kang idea for a little bit longer. Ignoring what happened with Jonathan Majors in his personal life as an actor, I've really enjoyed him. I know that I guess there's got to be consequences for people's actions, and if you just let people that are convicted, I believe he got convicted of assault, just let them continue to live their life and be in acting roles is probably not letting them learn their lesson. But I don't know enough about the situation. I was just happy to see him continue it. The recasting of Robert Downey Jr., I don't know. It feels cheap to me. They go, he is the MCU. He's the thing that started it. Yeah, but that was him as Iron Man. You can't just go, we'll just bring him in and make him whoever, and that will work. Like, it's almost cheap. It's like just saying we're just going to go get the biggest names in the world, biggest names in Hollywood, give them all a role in the MCU, and just because of who they are, that people are going to show up. It's a bit, it's a bit cheeky, I reckon. What do you think?
At first, I was like, is this actually real? And then when I saw the news, I was like, I don't like it. I've grown to like it, but the more I think about it, I think if it works, it will be great. Seeing a actor play the main hero and then play the main villain I hope it works, but personally, I just think they should recast Jonathan Majors and just continue with the Kane dynasty, because from the plot leaks, it actually sounds pretty awesome, because we would have got the free main Spider-Man as the Arclight beams, and Tobey Maguire would have been our beam, and Ghost Rider. It just sounds really cool, and I would have been fine seeing that.
Yeah, I think this whole I don't see why they need to get Robbie Downey Jr. to do it. He will do a fantastic role, and a job, but it's the idea of why is I think if you bring him back, and yes, I think he could have been a villain, but I think it would have had to been, Tony Stark in an alternate world was a villain instead of a hero. Not, we'll get him to play someone else, but every time you look at him, you go, well, that's clearly Robbie Downey Jr. Like, this is a bit silly. Like, there's plenty of other good quality actors they could have got to play this role. It's not like he's the only person out there that can possibly play someone. So, I don't know. I don't mind the fact they're going with Doctor Doom after doing some more reading about how he's considered to be the smartest person in the universe, even smarter than Mr. Fantastic, and that he can, use his genius to create doomsday weapons and do all these things. I think that's a cool premise, but I don't know if it need to be Robert Downey Jr. There's a plethora of other actors out there. You need obviously the right actor that can play a villain. Like, just because Glenn Powell's the face of Hollywood at the moment doesn't mean he could play that role. You obviously got to be selective, but I think there's more people out there than just recasting someone else that's already been killed off that was the hero and give him another role.
Yeah,
it's a bit strange to me. I can live with they've moved on from the Kang dynasty, but I don't know if they need to recast someone that's already been there. It's a bit strange to me.
Yeah.
Who do you think could have played the role? Who out there?
I believe they were actually going to cast originally for Doctor Doom the actor that played Oppenheimer.
I was thinking, of people out there that are like massive and are really talented actors. I was thinking him, is it Cillian Murphy? Yeah, I was thinking, that was the first person that came to my mind that could do it. Obviously, we've seen him play a villain in what do we call it? Scarecrow in Batman, Dark Knight trilogy. So yeah, someone like him could have. I don't know, like recasting someone. Why not? Well, we may as well just give it to Chris Evans. Let's get him in the MCU as three different people. It's just a bit weird. It doesn't need to be. So, interesting choice, but I can live with the fact that we've moved on from Kang. I would have rather seen a bit more Kang, but if we can't, then we can't.
It is what it is, I guess.
Yeah. I guess it's just funny. The MCU do their things to try and continue to keep their money train going and keep people coming back. Guess, what are your thoughts on this year, how they've kind of toned back the amount of movies? Do you think it's worked?
I think it shows, because Deadpool and Wolverine made $1 billion.
Do you think it still would have made $1 billion anyway, even if they brought out 6 other average MCU films?
I guess so, yeah.
Because, I think Deadpool and particularly Wolverine brings the numbers. And so if they've gone for reducing content and gone for quality, do you think what they brought out this year was of high quality?
With the Deadpool and Wolverine? Fun-wise, yes, but quality in production things, probably not, no.
So was that the only film they brought out this year?
Yeah.
And then what did they bring out last year?
Last year we got Captain Marvel. The Marvels and other movies like that.
I just question, was Deadpool and Wolverine as a one-off movie, it's been the only movie of the year, better than all the other movies we got last year? Like, individually, yes, but it's like, would you rather one movie? I think if you're going to bring out one movie a year, it needs to be the best movie of the year. Like, I don't think Deadpool and Wolverine was the best movie this year. So it's I don't know. I don't know if Marvel achieved what it wanted to do. Yes, it kind of stopped the Marvel fatigue, but I don't know if people are more excited about what's coming next. So, interesting move. Do you still think Marvel's the premium product compared to DC, or DC starting to catch up?
I actually kind of prefer the Elseworld movies, like the Batman or the Joker movies.
I'm in total agreement with that. I think DC, I think they're like superhero team up movies are nowhere near as good. Like the Justice League films have been pretty average, but I think when you compare those kind of those, as you said, those outer world products that are a bit different, they are better. Like I personally think the Dark Knight trilogy to me is better than any Marvel product that's ever came out. I think that the Batman is probably maybe even my favorite Batman movie of all time. I'm biased because I'm a big Batman fan, and I'm extremely excited about the Penguin series that comes out in a few weeks. So I actually think that they now, and then I'm so excited about Joker 2, and then the first Joker was fantastic. And I know we've talked about this idea of like, is it really a Joker film or is it a film about mental health? And yes, it doesn't really correlate or tie in with what's going on with Batman. It doesn't matter. Is it really a backstory to the Joker? Depends, because it doesn't really fully correlate. And can you see where this guy then turns into this villain that the Batman fights? Probably not. But regardless, it is a fantastic film. And now it's not a trilogy. There's only two of them. I don't know what you call it. 2-part film. A duology. I think it's pretty awesome. And the fact that it can kind of, you can watch it, and instead of just being this random person that goes a bit crazy, you go, oh, he's the Joker. Like, it just kind of gives you that bit. It basically just gave it a name or a kick forward. But I think even if the film wasn't about the Joker, it was about someone that went a bit crazy, it would have still been a great film anyway. So it just helps it. So I actually think their individual products are a bit more genius than, what Marvel has. Marvel probably does have better spin-off heroes. Like I think some of the DC stuff's a bit wild, but I think to me, the Justice League is better than the Avengers. I think, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Aquaman, and Cyborg to me are better than the Avengers.
And also this month we are getting the Agatha Christie show. Do you think Marvel are regretting making this spin-off show, or do you think they're happy that it's coming out? Because I
don't know. I know you're very anti it. I'm open to see what it brings. To me, it seems like a bit of a B-grade character choice, but it could be fantastic. I haven't seen any trailers for it yet, but I don't know. It could be really good. I really, really liked the WandaVision, and she was in WandaVision. I also really liked the actress that's playing Agatha, so I don't know, maybe it could be a stroke of genius. I wouldn't write it off just because, we don't think that Agatha's a great character. That might still be a good show. So I don't know if they're regretting something before it's even came out, but we'll wait to see if it gets praised. At the moment, it seems like everything Marvel brings out that goes straight to streaming just gets bad mouth. So I think it's probably going to be bad mouth regardless. So see how it goes. Move on to trailer reaction.
Yeah.
So what are we going to react to?
We are going to react to Sonic the Hedgehog 3. What I've seen the 2 previous movies and the TV show. What Luke hasn't seen anything.
I haven't seen any of them. I've probably played a very small part of the games, but people seem to like it and they keep getting brought out. I was saying to Jacob before that I've noticed a trend between people that I know that are on the spectrum seem to really like this. So I don't know, is that who's keeping Sonic the Hedgehog in business? Is the theatre being filled with people neurodiverse or on the spectrum? I'm not sure, because it seems to be really popular amongst that demographic. So other than that, I don't know anyone else that likes Sonic the Hedgehog, but It keeps being made. So it's putting bums on seats.
Mm.
So let's check out the trailer.
You finally found your family. Sonic, you finally found your family.
Try to keep up.
Oh, yeah.
I know it hasn't always been easy, but you didn't change who you are in here.
Yeah. In my lungs.
Or your heart.
There's been a high-level security breach. And we need Team Sonic's immediate assistance. Project Shadow is far beyond anything we've ever encountered.
Shadow's story began a lot like yours, Sonic. But where you found family and friends, Shadow found only pain and loss.
All right, we got a rogue alien on the loose. How do we find it?
Start with the giant fireball?
I love it. Let's start with the giant fireball.
He is much more impressive than the Hedgehog I fought previously.
Dude, I'm standing right here.
You're a colorful bunch.
We don't want to fight you.
Actually, Sonic, I would like to fight.
No, no! My turn. Can we just talk about this? He's too powerful. I can't believe I'm saying this, but we need you-know-who.
This is a bad idea.
When has that ever stopped me?
Doctor! We have visitors.
This is sad, Robotnik, even for you.
We need your help.
On one condition. What? Do this! If I can't rule the world,
I might as well save it.
I need room.
Sir, I don't have the proper materials. Found some.
When we're done, there won't be anything left.
Hey, no cheat codes. What did you do?
What I had to.
Welcome home, my boy.
It's impossible.
Is it?
It couldn't be.
Couldn't it?
I am.
Are you? In this saggy flesh.
So, what do you think from a nuke?
I can see why there's appeal to it. It looks quite funny. It looks kind of appealing to all ages. It has that kind of slapstick humor and those kind of one-liners. So I can see why there's a like for it. So what's the origin behind Sonic? I'm very confused, like why he's a hedgehog and why he's fast.
Basically, he collects these orbs that makes him go around, and then he... I don't know in the video games, but in the movie, he gets a relationship with his adopted, I guess, human parents. That is a police officer, and then he fights.
Was he like create? Because they said that they came from similar beginnings, and it showed like a lab. Was he created in a lab for a particular reason, or
Yeah,
like to be a weapon, or is he designed to be good or bad, or
designed to be bad, I believe.
okay? I might have to find out some more information, but I can see the appeal for it. It looks like it'll be okay. What do you think?
Oh, it looks fine.
Better or worse than the others?
I guess Shadow makes it better, yeah.
Is Shadow a big villain throughout the games?
I haven't played the games, but he's voiced by Keanu Reeves, what makes it cool.
Okay, who voices Sonic? That voice seemed familiar.
I think Ben. Ben. I can't remember his last name.
I'll have a look. Let's go Sonic. Voiced by Ben Schwartz.
That's it.
Which I recognize the face, but what is he from? Oh, he was in that that movie, that show we liked, where it's like
After Party.
the After Party. Yeah, I know he's in that. Parks and Recreation, Die Hard, Renfield. Yeah, he's in a few things.
Your excitement level out of 10?
5. Only because I haven't seen the others. I'd be more excited if I'd seen them, but yeah, it doesn't look too bad. What about you?
I'm going to go with 6. I'm a little bit more excited, but I'm not a big Sonic fan. I'm happy because of these movies. This is what got the ball rolling when it comes to video games, shows, and movies. But I think the other things have made video games. Oh, we got a comment.
Hey guys. Hey Zach.
Hello.
You looking forward to Sonic the Hedgehog 3?
This is the catalyst for why video games have become good, but I think other things have made video games things better.
Yeah, I guess that's an interesting topic. What do you think the best video game movie so far is? So I think ones that come top of my head, we had a Tomb Raider, couple of Tomb Raider movies. We've had Mario, which was like, I think that was
Mario.
That was the most successful movie last year. There's obviously a lot more I can think of in terms of shows. We've got The Last of Us, which did pretty well. But Mario is probably the most fun.
Yeah.
That comes at the top of my head, the most fun that turned into it. I think Uncharted was average. It was average, but I guess it kind of conflicted with the game, which has got confusing. But yeah, Mario was probably generally the most fun and the most rewatchable adaptation of a game to a movie that I don't think too many people would be disappointed. But the Mario world's so massive and doesn't really make sense, you know. Mario Tennis, Mario Kart, Luigi's Haunted Mansion, like none of it really makes any sense. So as a movie, you could kind of go wild, but no one's going to go, hey, that doesn't fit in with what happens in Mario. Nothing in Mario makes sense. So it's kind of cool.
As the audience, let us know what is the best video game, movie, or TV show. Do you think The Last of Us is better or Fallout? I know I've asked you.
I've only just started playing the Fallout games, but I think The Last of Us was really well done based upon the games, but I think Fallout was fun. Like I'd never played the games, and I really liked the Fallout show, which is impressive. I don't know if I hadn't played The Last of Us whether I would have cared too much about the story of The Last of Us. Like maybe as a neutral observer, you might consider The Last of Us boring. Like I don't know. Like I can't speak on that, but having not played Fallout, I thought it was really cool. And I think the premise of Fallout is way, way cooler.
Other comment from Zach.
Working my way through Fallout. I actually think the premise of Fallout is way cooler than the premise of The Last of Us. So obviously, you know, The Last of Us, the idea of, and again, it's not really fully explained. You know, people get the spores and it turns them into, you know, like it creates these zombies. Where like Fallout's like really cool. It's like futuristic, but set in the past kind of thing. And I think Fallout's really cool. So Zach said that he's never played the game either, but he loved the show. So that's interesting. So I love the game and love the show, so I can't speak what it would be like to be in your shoes. But Fallout, never played the game, only watched the show, and I thought the show was awesome. So,
aren't you getting into Fallout 4?
Yeah, I played maybe an hour of Fallout 4, and I thought it was pretty cool so far. So the show has inspired me to want to play the game, which is I guess what it wants people to do. It wants people that love the game to fall in love with the show, and then if it can get people to love the show and then have a crack at the game, then it's just got a new fan. So I think it did a pretty good job. So moving on from that, we wanted to do a review of Alien Romulus?
Yes.
So that's a movie that we've both recently seen. So I've seen a whole bunch of movies recently. Jake, it's been pretty busy with other things.
And this is your first experience of the franchise, isn't it?
Yeah, so I've never seen anything else Alien related or Alien vs Predator related. So I went in there kind of not knowing how it all relates or the Easter eggs that were in there or knowing where it fits in a timeline. I kind of just saw it on its merits. So that's where my review comes from. Yours comes from a fan that's seen all of them.
I'm probably a neutral observer. Like, I'm somewhat a fan, but I would consider myself more of a Star Wars person.
But you've seen them though, so
All of them,
so you know what's going on there.
I do.
Where I haven't. So let's tell us the premise of Alien Romulus.
So the premise is I forgot what the word is, but this is set during the events of Aliens 1 and Aliens 2. I forgot. It's like a duality or a...
Yeah, I think they called it. It wasn't like, you know, how we have the, you know, when there's the anthology, it was called like something similar to that, which was like it's set in between the events of something, but it's a standalone. So I think it's implying that it is not going to... It may get a sequel.
Yeah.
But it's not a sequel to something. It's not a prequel to something. It's just set adjacent in the same universe, but kind of tags along. I don't know. In the end, it's just another adaptation to, I don't know, call it what you want.
Yeah. So basically what happens there, so what happens in the first Aliens sets up the movie from this film. So basically some stuff goes down. The colonists or the workmen they don't like what's going on, so they want to escape, go somewhere else that has a sun, even though where they work has a sun, but they want a better life. So they need to use the android and the person that is caring for the android, because he's the only one with the code to get to the place. And then they go from there. And really, that's where the plot happens. But there's some awesome Easter eggs for fans of the first film that I wasn't expecting. And also a new creature for people that have, for new audience, that we get a new xenomorph type as well. That was very unexpected. So the plot goes from there.
For someone that hadn't seen the others, I actually really liked the plot. So we'll get into the scoring, but what I liked about the plot was, from the trailer, I thought we're going to have these people on some kind of research mission, and then they discover like a rock that's got like I was thinking like in terms of Venom. I was like, do they find like a rock and it's got like a symbiote thing in it? Like, I didn't really know where it was going. Like, I had not seen them. But then watching the film, it's like, yep, these are people stuck on a mining planet. They're young. They've been told that you're basically never going to get off here, and they want to go somewhere else. They discover, hey, there's this ship orbiting above us, and it's abandoned. Like we should go on there. We can take it. We can use the cryogenic chambers in there, and we can get to where we want to go using this. They go up there, not knowing why the ship's abandoned, which I think is quite a cool premise, which is, I guess, where it ties into some of the other films.
Yes.
And it kind of explains, like, instead of like, oh, what's the chances of them finding this alien and this happening? It's like, it was already there. You walked into danger. So I actually think that was a really cool premise. So I enjoyed. I thought it had a cool plot and a cool premise. I don't know how it compares to the others, but I really enjoyed what came out for a neutral observer. So should we get into the scoring?
Yeah, did you want to go first this time?
Yeah, I'll go first. Oh, we probably should have noted some of the actors and actresses are in there. Besides, you've got Jenna Ortega, who's in there. He's obviously like killing at the moment. It's in most things. And then we've got, wish I could think of her name, but I mentioned her. She was on a hot list a little bit back. I said like an upcoming actress. Let's look it up. Alien Romulus. We've got, what's her name?
They're also doing a TV show of aliens as well.
Oh.
Mm.
Kaylee Spaney was the name I was looking up. So she was in things like this year, Civil War. She was in Priscilla. So she was really good in Priscilla. Priscilla was a so-so movie, but she did a really good portrayal playing Priscilla. So she's on the rise, and then she is now topped off being in, she's gone from a drama war film to, you know, like a biopic almost, to then now being in a sci-fi horror. She's kind of done a few different genres this year, so she's doing pretty well. Zach also said that he loves this movie, Alien Romulus.
It is a good movie.
So yeah, she's doing pretty well there. So beyond her and Jenna Ortega, the rest were kind of like newish or not such big names. So I said back to the scoring, the plot and storytelling. So out of 10, I gave it a 7.5. I actually think, having known nothing about the franchise, I thought it was pretty clever. It wasn't just this run-of-the-mill, what you expected to happen film. That's not to say it didn't have its problems. A lot of it for me was probably around how the alien turned her, basically the new creature forming. I was a bit iffy about that whole thing and how that would work. And having not seen the other films, I don't really understand how the face-hugging aliens work and how all that goes. So I was there wasn't any explanation to that in this film. So I guess you probably need to see the others. But the actual premise alone I thought was quite good. So I gave it a 7.5. What did you give it?
So for me, I gave it a 6. I know that might seem a bit harsh, but I have seen all of the other movies, and for me, being a more, I guess, veteran of the franchise, I thought it was very slow to get the point, but I understood it was trying to get more atmospheric, trying to set it up. But for me, it took way too much time to do it. And also, it does have a couple of plot holes with the point with the movie. Also, I did find it very frustrating when no one else from the organization went to check on the mining factory. So that was a little bit odd with that. That didn't really make sense. But when it comes to, once we get to where we're going to, the plot is beautiful, wonderful. It's just getting to the point with the plot where it took a lot, but once we got to the juice of the movie, it was fantastic.
I think as well, like you always wonder with these type of films, like any type of, whether it be a horror or something, you're like, oh, why did they go in there? Why did they open that door? I actually think they did a good job of explaining that. Hey, we need to get to this place. We will die before we get there unless we can like get frozen, or like there won't be enough supplies. So it takes 9 years or something. So you can either be hungry for 9 years, which you obviously wouldn't survive, or you can be cryologically frozen, let the ship autopilot. And they're like, oh, well, we're out of this stuff. The only place is in this particular room. Like, I wonder why everything's frozen in there. And then it awakens the beast. I think that actually was quite cool. It wasn't just like this thing's waiting to kill them and they walk on. They kind of brought everything on themselves. So I actually think did a good job of introducing or like making sense. Because generally these films have such plot holes. You're like, that's silly. Why would that happen? They brought this on themselves. I actually think it was clever enough to not seem that staged.
Yeah.
So the cinematography, so we're talking the visuals, the sounds, the effects. What do you give that out of 10?
For me, I give this an 8. They really, with the atmosphere and actually with the xenomorphs, they used really good effects, except for the android with his face. That was terrible. But everything else with the atmosphere, with how it was top notch. Not 100% perfect because it was the director's first film, but atmosphere and the visuals and everything was top notch.
I gave it a 7.5. I thought, like, visually it didn't blow me away. It was just good enough. I guess it was set in space, but it didn't like show the beauty of space because they came from a pretty dark and horrible planet, and they spent a lot inside the spaceship, which that's just part and parcel. I'm not marking it down. I'm just saying that it didn't didn't do anything to blow me away. There wasn't a whole lot of need for visual effects. The alien, the main kind of like thing you see in the pictures of like past alien films, I don't know what you call it.
Xenomorph.
Yeah, it looks horrible, but I guess that's how it's always looked. You know, the film came out in the 70s or 80s, so you can't, if you upscale it too much and then it doesn't resemble the original thing. But it's a weird looking creature, and it doesn't look overly, like, I don't know. If this franchise had never existed and they started from scratch tomorrow, I think they would probably make it look a bit different. But that's what they envisioned aliens to look like back then. So that just looked a bit average. But that's how it has to be to make sense. So what do you give so that was a 7.5. What do you give the directing of this film? So the way it was put together, its pacing, it's, you know, what the director did.
For me, it's a 7. I do want to give the director top notch because he could have messed it up and Alien fans could be like screaming with their pitchforks and going, this is an absolute disaster. But no, he was respectful. And as a Star Wars fan, I wish someone would do the same thing with Star Wars. I could imagine Alien fans would love this. But when it comes to the actual directing, like I said with the plot, I personally wish he was to the point more. But I understand because of newcomers like Luke, you need to be more atmospheric, set up the stakes and why things need to happen. So he did an excellent job, and hopefully he can set up a trilogy and get better as he go, and we can see the groundwork and get even higher scores and get even better.
I gave the directing also a 7. I thought the pacing was probably a little slow. I probably would have rather it got to the point a bit more. I don't know if there was enough suspense or fear. Like, I don't think I was watching this film being like on the edge of my seat, like what's going to happen next, or I know the alien's going to get him. So there wasn't a whole lot of suspense and fear. Probably not enough explanation, but I'm not going to mark it down for that because that's on me for not having seen the other films, which probably would have explained it. So I think if you then explain too much, you then mansplaining or dumbing down something, and then you have other effects. So I'm not marking it down for that, but for me, the experience would have been better if there was a bit more explanation, but that's not the director's fault. I just thought the pacing was a bit slow, and, you know, it kind of ramped up really quick towards the end and then kind of fizzled off. I think it was kind of like, you know, like it built really slow and then it went and then dropped. You know, I just don't think it was just a nice progression or build up into, you know, to really keep me on the edge of my seat the whole film.
Unfortunate.
What about the experience or the engagement level of this film out of 10?
This gets a well-deserved A. The only problem for me was the start and the ending, because we do get 2 endings, but from the point when they actually get to the ship, it was go, go, go. I was really pumped. Once we actually get to see the xenomorphs, and that was an excellent from there. But it was just the beginning, and with the 2 endings, I don't know which one I would have preferred, but we got what we got. And I actually personally wish we actually got to that they didn't kill off the new xenomorph type, but that's what they did. I kind of hope they do something creative with that in the universe, but that's what we got. And yeah, an 8 for the experience.
I also gave it an 8. I actually thought I was fairly engaged throughout most of the film. I think it just set a good premise at the beginning. So, as I said, I don't know if the other films had better or worse premises, but to me, this whole idea, you know, they're on this planet. All right, I'm just going to fix this. They're stuck on a planet. And they're like, well, we've been promised to look at these farms. They've been promised that they can get off. And, you know, and then they suddenly get told, no, we're going to double your hours that you need to be on this planet. And then, you know, them going, screw it, we're going to find our own way off. I thought that had me engaged. It was like, this is kind of a story of, you know, oppression and, you know, trying to fight back against the man and trying to work towards this better future for these people. I didn't realize that the android was an android. I just thought it was, someone. I actually thought it was someone that had a disability. That's where they were going with it. And then the fact that he was getting bullied and beaten up and, he's having seizures. I didn't realize it was like a droid that had a glitch in it. But then I thought that was kind of clever how that tied it in, that they need him. And they basically said, mate, like, when we go on this cryogenic freezer and we're going to be asleep for 9 years, your job is to steer the ship and keep us alive. And they're like, and then when we get there, you're not going to be able to come on because this planet doesn't allow androids. And he's like, well, that's okay. That's my job. I actually thought that was a really cool premise. And even though it never eventuated to that, you're thinking maybe one day she's going to have to make this decision of, does she go to a better life and leave this android behind, or does she continue to find somewhere else that she can live with the android protector? So I actually think it had a really cool premise that kept me engaged throughout. So the alien part itself was not that engaging, but the rest was. I quite liked the premise. That moves on to the point of difference, the X factor, the creativity. What was it about this film that made it better or worse than other things out there in the world already?
This gets a 9. I really enjoyed the fact that they played with the it made Aliens worthy of being a franchise again. And I think that's the point of difference that this movie does well, is this could have been a massive bomb, and I think that's the X factor that it did. And who knows what would have happened if it did not do that. And yeah,
so I gave it a 7.5. It was just like nothing overly unique. Obviously the alien premise has already existed for lots of other films, so that itself wasn't too new. Even though I mentioned I liked those other things previously when I was talking about its engagement, they weren't really new ideas. They're just ideas I like. So it wasn't like, oh, I've seen this film before. It definitely wasn't the case of that. It was just like, well, this isn't anything overly special. It's kind of similar to what I've seen before. So 7.5 is still a decent score, out of 10. So, but didn't blow me away with its creativity. It was just semi-creative.
Yeah.
What do you give the ending satisfaction? So I don't know if this is planning to have spin-offs or sequels or prequels or what it's meant to do, but were you satisfied with what this dished out?
For me, it gets a 7. Did it need the 2 endings? But, either one would have been satisfying. I do think they should have went with the first ending and then maybe saved the other ending for the next movie. But that's what they decided to do. And I am excited to see what they do with these 2 characters. And, yeah, the ending was fine, but not perfect.
Yeah, I gave the ending a 6.5 because, the double ending I didn't think was overly satisfying. The fact that they introduced this new creature so late and was kind of dealt with semi-easily, you're like, well, what a waste. Like, should have it been introduced earlier, or should have been left with a cliffhanger? The 2 main girls, they escape. They're on their merry way, but little do they know one of them's carrying this alien. And then, does that set up the next film? Does the alien, then they get to this planet, the alien comes out and wreaks havoc? Like, do in any of these alien films, do the aliens ever make it to a planet, or it's always done on a ship?
In the Alien vs. Predator movie, it does end on a cliffhanger.
Because I'm thinking, like, their fear would be, like, if that ship eventually made it to a planet and those face huggers were on there, would that just be catastrophic? Would the planet just go, like, die because of that? Like, are they that dangerous? Or they're always just seem to be contained to a ship and they never get off the ship and you never have to worry about that? Because, like, would that align with the franchise if they then made it to the place they wanted to get to and they're like, oh, but unfortunately we've now brought you this alien thing that's now going to wreak havoc on your planet.
Mm.
Like, I don't know. I wonder if would have been a better cliffhanger ending if we knew what was going, that she was carrying a baby that was going to be an alien, or do we just, instead of getting the ending we got, do we go, oh, I wonder what happens next? Even if you never get to see it, you're like, ooh, it's out there. So for that, I give the ending a 6.5. I don't think it was overly satisfactory. It was more like, I was kind of glad it just ended, because it was like it didn't need to go that little bit extra. What about the attraction? So in terms of the premise of this movie, how attractive is it to the average person?
I give this a 10. I know this might be a little bit high, but I see horror fans enjoying this movie, sci-fi people, especially fans of aliens, and I think this is a good rounded movie where this gets a 10. It's not a perfect movie, but it's definitely worth watching. And the movies that I've seen this month, it's definitely been the best one.
So I gave it a 6. I kind of strongly disagree with this about Jake, because I just think it's hard to say that, it's a 10 for people that, like, I had never seen any of the others. So, like, obviously I'm trying to see every movie I can this year. I think if you found someone else that wasn't trying to do the same thing as me, that had never seen the other films, how do you try and sell someone and say, hey, go see this film? It falls within like the 8 others that are out there. Like, I think it's a hard sell. I really don't think it's too attractive to people. I think they would look at it and go, oh, it's a long movie. It's like sci-fi. Like, I don't think sci-fi ticks the box for many people. So for me, that's a large chunk of fans ruled out. I think horror, again, that then another chunk of people ruled out. The fact that it's a sequel, prequel, spin-off, whatever you want to call it, that rules out another chunk of people. I actually feel like its premise is attractive to very few people. The only reason I gave it a 6 is because you could probably watch it as a standalone, which I did, and still enjoy it. So I think premise carries it through that. So I gave it a 6. What about its recommendability to others?
I gave this an 8 out of 10. I think audience who enjoy horror films would definitely enjoy this. Definitely people that enjoy the genre. And definitely people that have not seen the movie, but not everyone will enjoy this movie. There are things that you could argue aren't its strong points, but it's definitely worth watching.
I gave it again a 6 for this recommendability for others, similar to the reason for the premise. And I did that because I think it's a hard sell. I think it's a hard sell to people that aren't already a fan. And I think if you're a fan, you were going to go see it anyway. But after watching it, if I could say to people, hey, it doesn't matter if you've seen them, it's still kind of gripping. I think it has a good premise to it. I think I could probably get 6 out of 10 people over the line to give it a watch. Also, its timing, it doesn't really have a lot of competitors for when it came out. So I think it would have been a fairly easy sell to say, hey, if you want to go see something at the movies, between this and basically nothing else, unless you've already seen Deadpool, Wolverine. So why don't you give it a crack? So it's got some recommendability to others. What about the performances and casting of we mentioned we've got Kaylee Spaney and Jenna Ortega. How do you think they did?
A 7.
6.
Oh, 6, sorry. For me, the acting isn't the strong points, but they give it their best. The actor that definitely plays the android is definitely the best performance, I would say. Everyone else is okay, but the performance from the android was definitely the top notch. That's who I was gripped the most. I actually think the human beings were kind of arse wipes and not really good human beings. So I think that all the 6 points goes to the performance from the android.
No, I agree. I also gave it a 6. I thought I like Kaylee Spaney in it. I think Jenna Ortega, I'm not the biggest fan of her. I don't get why people go nuts. Wait, was it Jenna Ortega? Or am I getting her mixed up again with that other Hispanic actress? I might have this wrong. Let me check this. Because there's the girl that plays like yeah, it's not. I take everything back. It's not Jenna Ortega. It's Isabel Mercedes, who looks very much like her, and she played Dora the Explorer. And she was also in that movie Instant Family with Mark Wahlberg, which I really liked. So I swear those two are so. I'm not being racist because they're both Hispanic. They may not even be, but they generally look alike sometimes, and then they have a lot of films that cross over. She's a better actress than Jenna Ortega, so I take that back. But I do think her performance was like so. She wasn't overly likable. But yeah, most of the humans weren't that impressive. The android was the standout. And yeah, I just think there wasn't a lot of it was like just them being pricks and then being like, oh, I don't care about this alien. I'm going to do what I want. And next second, they become a victim to it. So the acting was, pretty poor, I thought. So I think a 6 is probably maybe a bit too high, but I'll give it to him based upon the premise of the android, just like yourself. So that gives us to the last category, which is the genre point. So this is points we give out to, if it's a comedy, was it funny? If it's an action movie, was it an action film? In this case, we're talking about it is a horror sci-fi. How good is it as a horror sci-fi compared to other horror sci-fis?
Horror sci-fis.
What do you give it out of 10?
A 10.
You gave it a 10, so you reckon it did exactly what it's meant to do. It was a horror sci-fi, and it's like the top echelon of horror sci-fi.
Yes.
Okay.
For this year, yes.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I'm just breaking because it's a new category we've kind of added. So I'm trying to explain it to people that haven't seen this. And the reason we do it is because it's hard to compare, apples and oranges sometimes. It's like you got a film like Oppenheimer and we've got a film like Barbie. How do you compare one that's a historical piece that's set about true life events, that's something pretty horrific, and then we've got something like, Barbie dolls come to life. Like, how do you compare them? So that's where the genre is, where you can kind of go, well, that movie was meant to be funny and it did it. So we can't say it's not a good movie just because it wasn't a masterpiece. Like it's genre. It did what it was meant to do. So I gave this an 8. I thought for a sci-fi, it was pretty good. I like these type of sci-fis. I think sci-fis like Dune kind of bore me and lose my interest. I do like Star Wars, but Star Wars is complicated. This was pretty simple. So I think I like that. So I think it did pretty good for that. And it was not terrifying, but I was on the edge of my seat enough. So I think an 8. I think for what it was meant to be, it did what it did. It wasn't setting up to be some horror sci-fi and we're sitting there laughing at it. It did what it was meant to do. So I give it an 8. So what was your total score for Aliens Romulus?
It got a 78% out of 100. It is definitely the best movie of August. Is it going to make my top 5 list? Probably not, but it is definitely good. It's definitely in the right direction when it comes to the franchise, and I will definitely be watching the next one from this director, and I'm looking forward to seeing where the story goes, and hopefully we get to see what they do creatively. And yeah,
mine totaled in at 70%, which I think is pretty fair for a film. I hadn't seen the others. I was fairly gripped in it. Will I watch it a second time? Probably not, but I would recommend it to others. I don't regret seeing it in cinemas. I thought it was worth the experience. So a 70%, 7 out of 10, 3.5 out of 5 stars, however you want to put it. I think that's a pretty good score comparatively to some of the other films I've seen this year. And out of the 100 I've seen, it's probably in the top 25. So I think that's a pretty good mark to be. So yeah, I was fairly happy with Aliens Romulus.
Yeah.
So the last thing we wanted to do, you explain it. What do we want to do and why did you want to do it?
Basically, I thought of a good idea of ranking actors' careers, and I thought of the idea because I've been watching Friends, and I thought it'd be a cool idea to do Jennifer Aniston and kind of see, has she had a good career outside of Friends and Morning Wars?
Yeah, so basically we're not ranking, we're kind of rating. So what do you want to give them a score out of 5?
I think so.
So we'll give them a score out of 5, how we think we've done in their career. Obviously, it's hard to pick which actors and actresses we want to do. We're more likely to pick ones that we either really love or ones we think are overrated. Like, so what we did was I looked up the wealthiest actors and actresses, and then we picked what we basically ignored ones that I didn't think should be on there. So for instance, like spots 2 and 3 for females were Jennifer Lopez. And so we did on wealth. So so we had Jennifer Lopez and it had Lady Gaga at 2 and 3. They're wealthy because of their singing. So I'm not going to put them on this list because their acting is not what made them wealthy. So I know when we go through the men, most of them are wealthy because of their outside businesses, but it doesn't matter. That's what we've just thought. We'll pick some out of the top 10 richest, and we'll go, well, does their wealth correlate to, how good their acting career was? So starting at the bottom of the list for women, who was at number 10, we've got Gwyneth Paltrow. So people would know her as Pepper Potts from Iron Man and the Marvel universe. What do you think her career is out of 5? I can't even think of anything else she was in besides Marvel.
Me too.
Have a quick look. Famously married to Chris Martin, the lead singer of Coldplay, but I think now they're in like some 3-way relationship with the main character from 50 Shades of Grey, whatever her name is. They're like some kind of 3-way relationship. It's a bit strange. No one really knows. Gwyneth Paltrow sells candles that smell like a vagina. That's what they actually are called. And she has a kid named Apple. Like, she's all kinds of weird. So Gwyneth Paltrow. I actually don't know where her wealth comes from. Maybe it's from like money with her husband. But yeah, so we got her as Pepper Potts. She's in Shallow Hal. I did like that as a kid. Iron Man 7, Shakespeare in Love, The Talented Mr. Ripley. I don't know. For someone that's number 10 on the wealthiest list of female actresses, what do you give her career out of 5?
Probably a 2.
Yeah, I think. I don't think she's a bad actress, but she really hasn't been in much. And if anything, has she ever been the main character?
No.
Like, I actually think she's somewhat funny in the things I've seen, but yeah, I think her career out of 5, yeah, I'm thinking a 2 as well. I don't think there's anything too special about it. Going over to the male side, we've got Tom Hanks. He was ranked as the 10th richest male actor. Pretty well known actor, been around for a long time. What do you give his career? What are some of his top rated movies?
Saving Private Ryan, Castaway. Oh, he's been in heaps.
He's in that movie about the pilot that saved the plane in the that was like crashing. He was in the one where he's like, I'm the captain now. He's like got to save the people on the ship. Forrest Gump, one of the greatest movies of all time. Like, what do you give Tom Hanks' career out of 5?
Has to be a 5, doesn't it?
I was thinking a 5. I don't think he gets much better than Tom Hanks for a career. I'm not going to say he's my favorite actor, but he's done it all. He's made a lot of money. He's mega blockbuster hits. People reckon he's the nicest bloke in the world. Like, he's got, I don't know how many kids he has, but I know he's got 2 sons. One's a bit of a strange dude. He's a DJ. The other one's an actor. His wife's a singer, and she was in one of my favorite movies of all time, Jingle All the Way. So, he's a pretty cool bloke. I don't think there's too many roles he could have done that, I don't think there's too many opportunities that Tom Hanks missed. I can't think of too many flops of Tom Hanks either. So he's the top echelon of actors, Tom Hanks, no doubt about it. Okay, back over to the women's side of things. We've got who was number 7. As I mentioned, they're not in particular order. We skipped out ones I thought weren't interesting or didn't apply. We got Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock.
So what do we know Sandra Bullock from?
The Mass
Congeniality.
Yes.
I think, was there 2 of those?
There were, yeah.
There's 2 of those. She's in what's that recent movie with Channing Tatum? Was it Love Island or Lost Island?
Yeah.
I really like that film. She's in Speed with Keanu Reeves. I don't know. There was a time where Sandra Bullock was like, she was like, like America's sweetheart. She's kind of in everything. I'm a big fan of her. What do we think about her career? Like, she's made plenty of money. She's played a lot of different roles in The Proposal, The Blind Side, which was probably her best acting performance. I haven't seen Bird Box. People rate Bird Box. She's been in some comedies. I think she's pretty funny. Movies like Gravity as well. What do you think? What do you give Sandra Bullock out of 5?
I'm going to go 3.
3? I'm thinking a 4.
Okay.
I think in terms of female actresses, she's done quite a lot of different roles, and she's pretty versatile. She's had a fairly long career. She's also not been too afraid to say that, like, acting's not her life. There is other things she'd like to pursue, and she's happy to walk away from acting, and not have to just keep fighting for roles. And I'm a big fan of Sandra Bullock. I think she's great, so I'm going to give her a 4 out of 5. I reckon there's not too many women on the list. Maybe we continue with the women, then move over the men.
Sounds good.
So next on the list, who also fell number 6 in the wealth. I should have wrote down how much money they made. It was around like $500 million or something. We got Nicole Kidman, who is Australian. We claim, I think she's like maybe born in Hawaii or something like that. But she claims she's Australian. We'll claim her too. So she's Australian. Famously married to
Keith Urban.
Keith Urban, that's the name. He's mega rich because country music just makes a fortune. So we've got Nicole Kidman. What's some things she's been in? She's been in a lot. She's had a long career.
Perfect Stranger.
I think for me, the biggest tarnish on her career was having anything to do with Tom Cruise. But she's been in some serious flops too, though. So that to me probably tarnishes what I would give her career out of 5. Like at the moment, it seems like she's just in anything that's willing to give her a job. Like that Family Affair movie was absolute garbage.
Haven't seen it.
That she was recently in. Yeah, she's in the Aquaman film playing Aquaman's mother. She's in 9 Perfect Strangers. What do you think about that?
It was good.
Big Little Lies. People absolutely love that show. Boy Erased. These are like more recent. She's been in so much. Like I'm scrolling down. She was in Just Go With It. I don't remember that. Adam Sandler film. She's been in heaps. Let's put it that way. What do you give her career out of 5?
2.5.
Okay. What's your reasoning for the 2.5?
Even though she's Australian, you would think I would be loyal, but the things I've seen her, she's been good, but I haven't seen her in a lot of things. She's not someone that I go, oh, Nicole Kidman, I must go and see that movie. What Sandra Bullock, I would probably go and see her in, so I can't give her higher than a 3.
I'm along the same lines as you. I'm going to go 2.5. I reckon half her career is a flops, half a hits. But whether or not I think she's a good actress, let's put it this way: she can do things I can't do. But when I watch her, especially more recently, I'm not convinced. I'm like, is she actually good at acting, or is she just kind of like
a phony?
Yeah, people like, is she just reading the script and people are going, yeah, well done. Like, I don't know if there's any substance to it. Like, I really thought in that film, The Family Affair, I was like, I think anyone could have just read the lines. Like, she didn't seem like she was putting any effort into it whatsoever. So, yeah, I'm not holding out for the next Nicole Kidman film, or what she seems to be limited series at the moment. I'm not holding out for it, which is a bit sad being an Australian. So only a 2.5 for her career. I think she definitely has that potential to be like that, like that Meryl Streep that continues into old age being, I don't think she's played a grandmother in a film that I can think of, but she might be the next person that becomes the grandma that's in everyone's grandma in a film. So maybe Nicole Kidman's career retakes off then. But I know her Days of Thunder, her early stuff was pretty good, but then now that bit in the middle I'm a bit iffy on. So wait to see what comes next for Nicole Kidman. Number 5 is a bit of a cheeky one because it's a combo, but they had the Olsen twins. They are obviously extremely wealthy from their endeavors beyond child stardom. I think they had like makeup brands and perfumes and all kinds of things, but they were everywhere and now they're absolutely nowhere in terms of acting. What do you give the Olsen twins out of 5?
I don't know if I've seen anything with the Olsen twins.
You didn't see, I guess I can't say I've seen it either. Full House when they were really little, and then Mary-Kate and Ashley. Saw any of their movies like Mary-Kate and Ashley, a New York Minute, and there's like no, there's heaps of them.
No.
Okay, so what do you give their career? If you've never heard of them, how good could it be?
A 0.
You give it a 0. I'm gonna give it a 1 out of 5 because they were pretty good as kids, and then they started to, as they grew up, they started to look a bit weird, and then they didn't really get too many roles. I think maybe the child stardom kind of tarnished their life. So they've done nothing recently, so that's a bit sad. So I'm gonna give them a 1 out of 5. Someone let me know what Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen are doing. I know what their sister's doing. She's playing, who is she? She's Scarlet Witch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so their younger sister's doing it, right? But yeah, them themselves are kind of vanished out of Hollywood. So the Olsen family knows how to produce actors and actresses. Then that moves us to who you originally wanted to do this whole thing for. We got Jennifer Aniston, who is number 4 on the list, obviously making a fortune off Friends. Funny enough that her royalties off Friends puts a number 4 on the women's list, but not a single male from Friends. The wealth they made off that show did not even get them in the top 10 for men. So in saying that, there's some guys on the men's list that are billionaires, and you'll be surprised to find out who number 1 is, because I was surprised. I'm actually thinking, I don't know if that list is correct, because there was no Jerry Seinfeld and there was no Adam Sandler, and I know they're billionaires, so they're not on the list. So I don't know what's going on there. So Jennifer Aniston at 4. We know her from Friends.
Yeah.
Morning Wars. A couple of movies with Adam Sandler in it. I don't know. What do you think of her career post Friends, and Friends included? What do you give it out of 5?
Well, I actually don't know if her movies have been good.
Yeah, they're a bit average. Can't think of one that I really liked. Actually, I like her in Horrible Bosses.
Oh, yeah.
I think she's funny in that, but she's like kind of a spin-off character. But the fact that she's like this super like sex addicted, like what is she? She's a dentist, and she's like trying to take advantage of her male nurse. I actually think that's a really funny story. So I think she does good in that. But yeah, a bit iffy on her. Is she ever? Besides Morning Wars, I can't think of anything she's in where she's not funny. Like she's not meant to be a comedian. Like everything else, like yeah.
I might go 2.5.
Yeah, I'm thinking for me, I'm gonna have to go 3.5. I think Friends is enough to push her through. I think that if all you achieved in your career was part of the biggest show, or one of the biggest shows of all time, I think it's hard to say you didn't have a good career. So I'll go 3.5 for her. But beyond Friends, it's pretty dismal. I really liked Morning Wars up until the most recent season, but I haven't finished it to comment on it. But I think her acting in that is phenomenal. So regardless of how good the show is, I think she does a good role. So I'm going to stick with 3.5. I think that's fine. Brings us to, obviously, the next two are Lady Gaga and Jennifer Lopez. Both are not actors. Yes, no. Jennifer Lopez has been in a few things, but come on, like Lady Gaga. She's just on the list because of the money they made from music, but fingers crossed Lady Gaga in The Joker 2 is phenomenal. So won't talk about their careers because it'd be pointless. But number 1, I would not have picked this. The wealthiest female actress is Reese Witherspoon.
Appearing in one episode of Friends and being in Morning Wars.
She's Jennifer Aniston's sister in Friends. She was only in one episode as her sister.
Well, 2 episodes, but they were back.
Okay, I just thought for some reason I thought she like made several cameos. Yeah. Okay, that is very that's interesting to know. But yeah, I forgot that there was that connection. She's in Legally Blonde. I don't know how many, maybe 3 or 2 of Legally Blonde films. She's also in Morning Wars.
It Means War.
It Means War. Is that the movie where they like about where they sing Sweet Home Alabama? Or is that a different film? I need to look it up. What she was in. Reese. She's been in a few things. She's like, it's just really surprising that she's worth that much money. She was in like quite a lot of things when she was younger. Morning Wars. Hot Pursuit. There's a comedy of the Legally Blondes. Big Little Lies. I think that did that have also Nicole Kidman in it?
Yeah.
She's executive producer on Truth Be Told. So I think a lot of her movie money comes from her producing things. But interesting. What do you rate her career then? I mean, she's the most wealthy female actress out there. Do you think she's had a fulfilling career? We've had a couple of early comedies and then not a whole lot since, mainly directing and producing.
I'm going to go 3.
3? I think a 2.5. I don't think that reflects her talent. I think she's a great actress. I think in Morning Wars she's fantastic, but she hasn't done enough for me to say she lived up to the hype. I think after Legally Blonde, you probably thought she was going to be a lot bigger star than what she was, or feature in a lot of things, but maybe she was a bit selective from that point. So I'm only going to give her a 2.5 out of 5. Okay. Back to the male side of things. Might skip a few. We're running a bit out of time. We've done Tom Hanks. What about Brad Pitt? So some people consider him the best male actress, the most attractive bloke of all time. He's kind of been in every type of genre film you can think of. What do you think of his career?
Well, it's actually quite interesting because when I was younger, I actually didn't like Brad Pitt, but now he's been in different movies. I actually like him more.
I'm in the same boat. I didn't dislike him, but I didn't think much of it.
Yeah.
But then more recently, I think he's funny. Like he's surprisingly so funny. From memory, he was funny in Friends, wasn't he? He's cameo in Friends.
He played one episode.
Yeah, and then I think of films like Bullet Train. He's also in Lost City with Sandra Bullock. Like he was funny as hell in both those films. Was Sandra Bullock in Bullet Train too? Who was the person he's speaking to on the phone? Was it her?
Yes.
Yeah, like he's funny as hell. Like I actually really like him. And you think of the things he's done, he's been in every type of film you can think of. So it's a pretty fulfilling career. And I think in terms of quality, I don't think you get, besides Leonardo DiCaprio, I don't think there's too many actors out there that are better than him and can play certain roles. Like, I could think of some of my favorite acting roles of all time that he didn't play. I'm like, you know what, he could have did that. I think of in The Wolf of Wall Street. I don't know if he could have played Leo's character, but the character of who's the bangs on his chest? I can't think of the character. What's his name? No, it doesn't matter. I think he could. There's lots of classic roles I think that he could have played that he didn't, and would have probably even done a better role. So to think when you have an actor, you go, not only has he got this stellar resume, you're like, he could have taken roles off other people and still killed it. I even think of a film more recently. I don't think you saw it. Babylon came out last year. It's an artsy film. It's a bit iffy, but geez, he played a good role in that. Like he can seriously act. So his career to me is like top notch, and his quality of acting is top notch. So it's pretty. I'm going to give him a 5. What are you going to give Brad Pitt?
A 4.
A 4. What do you think could have made him a 5?
I guess. I know. I guess my younger thoughts, but now I've kind of changed. But still, there's a part of me, I guess, that criticized.
Even like the Oceans films, I love those. I think he does such a good job in them. Okay, so moving on from Brad Pitt, we got someone. Let's go just on the list higher. Then we got Robert De Niro. So a lot of his best roles were probably before our time. You know, a really serious actor to now basically plays the funny grandpa in most films. That's his new thing. Still having kids at the age of 70-something in real life. He's super rich from owning restaurants. Interesting bloke. What are some of the things people would know Robert De Niro from? Or what are the things that stand out? Meet the Parents. We've got a comedy role. I think he was in... It's like Raging Bull or something, maybe Taxi Driver. He's in lots of serious movies well before our time. His career obviously is spanned over a long time. What do you give him out of 5?
I haven't seen all of his movies, so this might be a harsh score. I'm going to go 3.
I think it's fair if you haven't seen them all. Obviously, I haven't seen it all, if not many. The fact that he's still a big name, he's been around for ages, and he can be funny. Like I think in movies like Dirty Grandpa and then Meet the Fockers to, you know, if he was to come out and play if he got given a role in Oppenheimer, he would have killed it too. You know, like he can play it all. So I think his career is to extend that long and to have the talent he does. I think I go 4.5 out of 5 for Robert De Niro. What about Tom Cruise? I mentioned before that I'm not the biggest Tom Cruise fan. What do you think about his career? What are some things that you liked about Tom Cruise? What are some films he's been in?
Oh, I've actually watched quite a lot of movies with Tom Cruise. He's been in Edge of Tomorrow, the Mission Impossible movies, Day and Night. Are you with me or without me? He's been in the Moreira Report, or that movie.
Top Gun.
Yeah, Top Gun Maverick. Oh, heaps of things. He is a top actor. He's a very weird person, though.
He's a weird person, but he's one of those people that I think has that mega star power. He'd probably be the most highly paid actor, the most sought after actor. He is one of those names that they put him at the top of the billing for a film and people go out and see it. And there's not too many actors, I think, have that ability. Like he seriously somehow would sell a flop. I don't know how that happens because I don't think he's fantastic. I think sometimes when you watch him acting, you're like, is this guy for real? Like, and it's like, oh, it's hard to take this guy serious when he believes in, you know, ghosts and like spaceships and random shit in Scientology. Like, I just find it hard to take him serious. But he has had a pretty stellar long career, does his own stunts, and is still making action films. So, what would you say would you say he's an action star? That's his biggest genre, the thing he does the most, or is he more of a drama actor?
Action, I would say.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say he's a comedian, but yeah, he's kind of done it all. Yeah, it doesn't get much better than Tom Cruise. Not my favorite, but I think anyone would take his career in the blink of an eye. Like it's just too good to knock up. So what do you give him out of 5?
4.5.
Yeah, I think I have to go 5. I just think that's top echelon. It's hard to. I think anyone would take his career, they'd swap. But I think even someone like Leonardo DiCaprio would swap his career with Tom Cruise's for the things he's done. Okay, we got 2 more on this list because again, it was done on wealth. I guess if we were to pick ones we wanted to, you know, we may have put Leonardo DiCaprio, which I'd probably give him a 5 as well. He kind of does it all, and he's been continuously in roles since being a little kid. Probably Ryan Gosling, someone as well I'd put high on the list. But that leaves us with our final 2. So we've got The Rock. Dwayne The Rock Johnson makes a fortune from alcohol and other endeavors. He has his fingers in every pie. What do you think about his career as a WWE star turned actor?
I actually think he's only been in one good movie. So for that reason, I'm going to give him a 1.
What's that good movie?
Gridiron Gangs.
I agree. I like Gridiron Gangs. I think he's a bit of a joke to me. I think his movies are dumb. I don't think he's very good at acting. I might even as far as to say my favorite acting role of his, and again, I don't even really like the film, would be Moana. Voicing Maui.
You think Moana is a better acting performance than Gridiron Gangs?
I don't know if it's a better acting performance, but his voice really suits that role.
Okay.
But I'm not a fan of Moana, so I'm just saying I just think he did a good job in Moana, and I think he is Maui. I think it works really well. But yeah, it's just I don't think much of it. But Gridiron Gangs is a phenomenal movie. I think everything he's done since then to me has been a bit of a joke. And
It's all been
that was a good serious film. So yeah, I'm thinking like a 1 out of 5. The only reason I give him a 1 instead of a half is maybe because he just continues to get roles and continues to get paid the big bucks to do roles. But do I think the thing is he's not going to look back at his career and be disappointed. But if you were aspiring to be an actor, ignoring money and how much he's worth, if they said, "Oh, well, you're just going to be typecast in these type of films," you'd probably be like, I don't know if you'd be happy with that. You'd want to have some diversity, which I don't think he has whatsoever.
No.
So I'm not a big fan. And people reckon he's hard to deal with too, and like doesn't care about other people's time and just shows up and does what he wants. So that takes him down in my notch. So number 1, which I would never have picked this as number 1.
Me too.
I don't even know if the numbers are correct, but they said he was the wealthiest actor out there. We've got Arnold Schwarzenegger.
He'll be back.
I'm a massive fan of Arnie. Arnie is the absolute man, and it's not even to do with his acting. It's just his career, his drive. Geez, he's a funny man. Like this guy like grew up in. Have you seen the Arnie documentary?
No, but I want to.
You should. Like this guy grew up in Austria, basically like a village, and was told like there's not much prospects for you in life, and he aspired to of all things go. I'm going to be the muscliest man in the world. I'm going to win Mr. Olympia. And then he's like, well, then what's next? I'm going to be an actor. He decided he wanted to be the biggest actor in Hollywood, and he probably was at some point.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I want to be the governor of California. Like everything he puts his mind to, like just the respect for anyone that can get that muscular, where it takes another level of commitment that I will never understand. So he is top echelon of people and inspirational people. So I'm a big fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he knows how to drive a tank too. He was in the military, so which is pretty cool. So what are some things that Arnold Schwarzenegger's been in?
The Terminator franchise, Total Recoil, and a couple of other things.
Oh, and the greatest film of all time, Jingle All the Way. And he also probably played the best villain of all time in any Batman movie, Mr. Freeze. I'm obviously joking about that. So, worth a lot of money, pretty cool bloke, but how do you rate his acting career?
A 2.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards something pretty low too. And some of his movies are pretty gimmicky. Unlike The Rock, his movies came out at a time when gimmicky was like the standard.
Yeah.
The Rock made gimmicky movies when like people were making high quality stuff. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger was making these films when people generally thought they were good. Like, so It's a bit different. Like he just was doing what everyone else was doing at the time. So Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like think of some of these films like Twins with Danny DeVito, or he's like they're twins, but Danny DeVito's little and Arnold Schwarzenegger's massive, and like Kindergarten Cop. But it's like he got typecast, but he kind of like The Rock, but he kind of did a better job of it. So I don't know. Maybe he's just a genius. Maybe he picked the right roles and worked for it. Made him a fortune. So I'm going to give his career. I think I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 because from where he came from and the fact that acting was not his first choice of things. It was something that came next. His career is pretty damn good. For someone that was never trying to be an actor, and you look at some of the films he's in and the money he's made, that's pretty damn impressive. So I'm going to give him a 4 out of 5. I think if you said to someone that you're going to be you're Mr. Olympia, and then one day you're also going to have this resume of films, you would be, it's unbelievable. So, and to be the governor of California, that's just wild. So I'm going to give him a 4 out of 5.
Yes.
Okay, so that wraps up what we were trying to do there. We've got a minute or two left. Is there anything else you want to do before we sign on?
Who do you think would also be on the list
of impressive careers?
Yeah.
First thing that comes to mind is like people that like didn't set out to be actors and became actors. I think that's interesting for me to think of. So someone like Mark Wahlberg, who set out to be a rapper, and then the career he's had. I think he's a good actor, but his career actually is pretty rubbish. You look at some of the films he's in, geez, they're bad. But then he's in some fantastic films. But it's funny that I think his best work is Ted, which is like the dumbest film, but I love it. So, someone like Mark Wahlberg, Leonardo DiCaprio. But we already said before, I think his career is top notch. I think the things he's done, the fact he's only won one Oscar, baffles me. I don't think there's too many better actors than him.
Which career, if you could, would you want?
I think in terms of being remembered or going down in history, probably Tom Hanks. I think out of all those on the list, I think Tom Hanks will be the one that will probably be remembered. Yeah. What about you?
Probably Leonardo, because he's selective about his roles and mostly all of his movies are pretty top notch. He doesn't just do a movie for the sake of it, like The Rock.
No, I agree. I think that's a good choice. I think of iconic roles. I think people forever be talking about thinking about Forrest Gump and Castaway. I just think they're like Wilson and the iconic ball and him on the sand, and then you think of Tom Hanks and the beard and the trying to run across America, and like I just think like those two roles people remember for like forever. Okay, you wrap us up.
Well, as always, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and see you in the next video. And let the force be with you, and have a good rest of your day. Bye bye.
See ya.